Morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Chris Stevens, if you don't know, KW Philadelphia. And I have a special guest with me, Christina Griffin, president of the Griffin Group. Christina, welcome to the call today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. And I know, Christina, you've been an agent since, I think, 2001, with a little over, 100 transactions since then?
Yes, personally, I've done a little over 4,000, I'd say, distress transactions, in addition to the several thousand that my team has also contributed to.
Awesome. If you could just give us a quick background on you and your team, and then I want to kind of dive into what you and your team are doing or have been doing during this pandemic. And then after that, I kind of want to get into pre-foreclosures and REOs. So
sure,
take it away, Christina.
Absolutely. And I just looked at the stats. Holy moly, what opportunity in your area.
Yeah, there is a lot.
It's probably the most I've seen since I've looked up on one of these calls. So I've been in the business since 2001, started an agent that worked with a I guess you can say big lease up and renovations. Quickly, when I was 21, I got my license, had a kid. I won't go into my full story. If you guys want to hear it, I shared it with Gary on stage at Mega Camp about a year ago. In a nutshell, I've gone through tons of loss. I have, my mom, dad, and sister all died 9 years apart. I personally have beat the same cancer my mother had. I've lost everything. I've started over. Married to my best friend, love of my life. Second time's a charm. Have 3 beautiful kids. Had a miracle child they told me I couldn't have. He's 5 years old. What I would say is my team is, it's very, I'd say we're very different. However, that's probably because of me. I started, most of you are doing regular retail business and want to get into the REO world or the distressed world. I started in that. So I didn't have a CRM. I was selling hundreds and hundreds of properties. I was flipping before I got to my prior company. I was with Coldwell Banker for over 10 years, and we did a lot of helping investors. Now is actually a really great time to bring it back. What my start was, I had an investor that I started with him, and he was a big flipper, and he needed help selling his properties and finding them. My first year, I did about 50 transactions, and between selling him properties and flipping his properties, and I was a mom with a 6-week-old little girl, and just still, was going hard, pushing hard. But I saw such a big place for the investor space. So I rented at 23 years old. I rented large buses, piled investors on them, took them to REO and distressed properties, and had contractors there and walk through the house with them. And then I'd have 20 offers when it was done. So it was a very different world. I say I was part of helping the downturn of the market. So, we flipped hundreds of homes. So I know how to analyze properties and repairs from 2001 to 2008. That's when I joined Coldwell Banker. And I joined there for many reasons, but it was getting into REO. All of the distressed properties that I sold, they started to go bad. Hard money lenders were calling me and saying, you sold can you do it? So I did short sales when they weren't popular. And I did REOs when it really, most of the REO agents you couldn't get a hold of, and there was one picture. on the MLS. So
Yeah.
I've seen it all. But in a nutshell, I kept growing, and I was offered an opportunity to take an entire area, had no clue what that would look like. And, obviously there's a lot of life events going on as well, but I just kept pushing through. And my first year, I did a few hundred REOs. And then it just kept growing and growing. Long story short, since we're focusing on the business and where we got to as a team, in 2014, I was asked by one of my asset managers for Bank of America to check out a coaching program. I checked it out, walked out a whole new person, didn't know what a CRM was, didn't know that, I should have buyer's agents, that I was really angry and decided to take control of my business. A month later, I got cancer, fought that for about 6 months, and then decided during that time frame, I'm all in with coaching, and I'm going to follow anything that they told me to do, because REO leads, distressed properties, you get 10 times as many leads and opportunity than a normal listing. So
Yeah.
my prior office was using those to recruit agents to the market center. So I took control of my business. I had the miracle child, and that's where I'd say things started to change and grow. Our team is 6 years old. We've done over 500 transactions every year since we started as a team. And it started with a group of collective people around me that just was working my leads. I'd say it's grown in so many ways. When I started with my prior company, I actually created their first ever short sale department and taught all of the leadership in the offices how to do short sales. And we processed lots of them. Now it's a very different world, and it's easier. So, our team now in a transition. I was at my prior company over 10 years, and I joined Keller Williams for many reasons, but it was to learn how to run an effective, profitable business. And, that's where we are today. We've got over 40 agents. I have a full leadership team, and, I'm learning and failing forward every day, but I'm thankful to have Gary as a mentor and a great coach, and to be that mastermind. It's like I feel like I've been the project child, with them, and it's made some really, really great friends. And, I'm happy to say we're profitable. We're, doing all different levers of business. However, with the way the world is right now, we already do distress, but we do it in a very different way than people would even imagine. So we're just going to 10x that, and need more boots on the ground because the opportunity is going to be absolutely endless. And what most people don't realize is distressed real estate leads to so many retail opportunities if you do it correctly. So I hope that answered it. We did 599 transactions last year. And I'd say probably a fifth of our business was distressed last year in some form or fashion.
That's amazing story. Much appreciation for you for what you've been through and overcome. So first of all, I want to thank you for that, for sharing that. And then second of all, for people on this call that want to get into the pre-foreclosure REO space that aren't in it currently, how would you start? What would be your recommendation?
Well, first, it's time to get educated. It's not official yet. I am launching a 12-week course with MAPS.
Awesome. That's great.
So it's my outline went in today. So it should, I think, what did they say, spring masterminds in a few weeks. It's all going to, so we built out the course, and I would tell you, even Monica said the first focus, because this market is going to be highly different. It's pre-foreclosures. you have to start and educate yourself with pre-foreclosures. You can also learn the distress side of things by doing BPOs.
Yeah.
And you can just Google BPO companies, just make sure you're not paying money to join the companies. And it's a great way to practice and earn some income. And especially for your state, with the amount of numbers I see, there's going to be a lot of checks, like occupancy checks. There's going to be a lot of property inspections. So there are ways, and there's a video on Free Broker School, the guy who runs our NRBA site, where you can make 10 grand a month doing BPOs if that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But BPOs are just a way to learn and meet banks, because every BPO says who the bank rep is.
Sure.
And then you call. So, but for you guys, the easiest way, in the time that we have, that I would tell you that you need to get started is if you go to auction.com and you type in your city. And when you type in your city, you filter it down to asset type. And asset type, you're going to see REO, you're going to see foreclosure, and you're going to see short sale. I'll be honest with you, I've been on a lot of calls, looked at a lot of regions, and you have them more than anything I've seen. So you have 315 pre-foreclosures in your area that have a sale date attached to it. So I don't know your laws or what's happening there, but it looks like all the sale dates are in June and July. So this, to me, is the first start of learning and figuring it out. Is every single one of these people should be contacted. This is your start, because you've got the end of April. They've all been given a sale date. And they could be a short sale. They could be something with distress, where maybe they're just down a few payments, but the world of real estate in the new distress era everyone's freaking out about is going to be very different. It's not going to be just short sales and REOs. It's going to be people that are their default on their mortgage. That could be a few payments, but they don't know what to do. They don't have any equity. So you've got 315 potentials that are sitting home that haven't paid their mortgage payment, that more than likely forbearance is not going to work for them. I don't know what your state is doing, but when they're already in foreclosure so deep, and then it's hard to get out of it. So, and they may have issues with food, or there's a lot of things. So that would be my biggest approach. There's many ways you can do it, but the cheapest way is to create a nice handwritten letter with a stamp, and and send them something in the mail, or pick up the phone and call them. Cole Realty or Land Voice may be able to give you the number. We do the whole 10th degree, like we skip trace and different things like that. But that would be the biggest. And then I would say that the next, and read Shift Tactic 11. Shift Tactic 11 is a lot of really great basics, and you can get it for free on KW. A lot of the talks that you see, it's like Shift Tactic 11 is the forgotten one that they always skip over. But the whole instructor manuals are for working with sellers in distress, working with buyers, and pre-foreclosures. It's all on KW for free. So, and then you have, which is amazing, you've got 215 properties on auction.com that are in auction status. So what that means is they're already been foreclosed on, and there are actual auction dates, 25th to 29th. They pay commission. So you guys from your home can, if you don't have investors, you can pool, and I'm going to teach this in more depth, but you can pool surrounding cash purchases, find who bought properties cash in that area, and reach out to them and see if they're working with a local agent. Because I'll tell you, like there's 215 that are already foreclosed on just the auction.com website that are opportunities, and you don't even have to leave your home for those because they're all on combo lock boxes, and most agents will not care during this time frame for you to provide the access.
Yeah.
So that was a lot. Any questions on anything that I went over? Learning the pre-foreclosure side, and the reason why I brought auction.com up, it's an easy way to filter opportunity. You can dive deeper and to notice the defaults. We get them from LandVoice because LandVoice actually pulls all of the how you're used to the expired data. In LandVoice or Vulcan 7, they even once a week, all the notice of defaults are there with all the phone numbers, and if they're do not call. We hit it in the front when the notice of default happens, and then we hit it towards the back, and that's what this is. That is the you can learn to really navigate the foreclosure calendar, the actual one, but this is an easy way to kind of view what the opportunity is.
Yeah. I think what I'm hearing from you right now is there's tons of opportunity in our area.
Yeah, a lot.
Right?
A lot. Yes. Yeah,
go ahead.
Massive.
What's that, Christina?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of massive opportunity and in your area. And that, to me, even if you just approach the people that are the 300 that are in pre-foreclosure, and you approach them and you just say, hey, I'm your neighborhood realtor, I'm just checking on you, is there anything I can do for you?
Yeah.
And then follow it up. We never lead with, hey, I know you're in foreclosure, until it's like a week or two out. So it's all a build, but just to show you the difference on how much opportunity is in your area. Las Vegas only has 95 on auction.com.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
kind of gives you perspective of where we're at. Right?
I would truly tackle Shift Tactic 11, read it as much as you can, and start talking to people, and just having a servant's heart and just trying to help them through what they're going through.
Yeah, that's great information, Christina. Thank you. We have about 10 or 11 minutes left. I kind of want to leave this time for anybody that has questions for Christina. I know, Kevin, you raised your hand. So if you could just take yourself off mute and feel free to ask the question.
Hey, Christina, great information, amazing. Myself, my team, we have a couple small banks that we do REO listings for. How do we expand to get more and more banks and represent them, like asset managers?
So what I would tell you, are you doing BPOs at all?
No, not really. It was illegal in Pennsylvania for a while to get paid on it to a point, but I think they've recently lifted that, I think this year. Okay.
I'm gonna share, and I'll put it in the comments. So you have to know what the platforms are. If you're not on Equator, that's the biggest. I'm actually speaking, and it's free this year. One of the biggest conferences in all of REO is 5-Star, and 5-Star has gone virtual. So myself and Bubba Mills are talking, but it's hold on, it's mipsummit.org. I would say for you've got experience, to Google and look up. So I'm part of certain REO groups that there's certain info I can and can't share. So because you have experience, I would, NRBA is what I'm in. If they accept you into NRBA, it's the most exclusive, but you have to have experience. It's the best money I've ever spent. They tell you get lists, like I can't even share the list they give me. But for you, I would say on REO, It's going to be very different. A lot of the banks are realigning their asset managers to loss mitigation departments. So mastering pre-foreclosures, and when you do a short sale and that negotiator is assigned, that's where you speak to that negotiator, do a really great job, and they'll refer you to work with more banks. Just know, and I don't know what your small banks are like, we have to float all of the money, and they want you to market the properties just like regular, they want professional photos. So I would put together like a marketing package. There's many ways you can find REO opportunity. Most people just want to jump to REO and they can't even do a BPO. If you can do a BPO and you know the basics, I would start figuring out who the REO companies are in your area, and it's not hard to figure it out. You just go to MLS, you do the drop down to REO, you reverse look the bank up on tax records, and you figure out who they are, and whether you skip trace or you send them a package certified in the mail. REO is a different world right now because, there's Fannie and Freddie, but there are so many hedge funds that bought non-performing pools of assets. Getting them and getting to them is going to be important. So you can even go as far at, like, I have a full-time VA that does nothing but find this info for us. So that would be my suggestions. There are other groups that you can join, like Force, but I would Google like REO networking groups, and there's basic ones you can start with. That the regular normal agent, they need to crush pre-foreclosures, and that's going to be their way in the door, and streamline their process. Because as you know, with REO, I just woke up this morning and I only have 19 assets in Equator, but I've got 40 tasks. So, a lot of the banks are very much, there's tons of tasks and tons of things that they have. So that would be my suggestion. I hope that's helpful.
It is. I got in the market, I got my license in November 07, and
Okay.
It was short sale heaven, and I did a lot of PBOs to survive because I was late.
Well,
20s,
anybody can do those now. You can even hire somebody to do those now, a runner or something, that's going to help you. And, even in Gary's mastermind group, a lot of guys were doing hundreds and hundreds of transactions in 2007, 2008, but they stopped it. So, if you just continue to always add distress as a lever in your business, and just know that it could be small or it could be big. One asset manager that you get one random property from can lead to 100 properties. So that really is the big thing. But I will tell you, most of it, they're going to try and work out in loss mitigation. So that's going to be the most important. And finding a short sale negotiator. I don't know what your state laws are, but in our title companies, they have short sale negotiators. I don't process files anymore. They handle everything. And that allows us to be able, and it doesn't cost anything, it allows us to be able to grow with it. So a third-party negotiator is going to be important as well.
I have one more question. What do you have your VA do? Like for Equator, you have all those tasks, and then you have a lot of PPO work. Do you have your VA do a lot of that work?
So I have 7. So they all do different levels because they do support the team. However, I always pull the comparables. They prep the BPO. I finish it. My job is to nurture the relationships with the asset managers and make sure that things are everything is done where it needs to be. Because if you screw up once and they have a bad day, you can lose an account. So, I would just make sure whatever VA you have, that you inspect what you expect no matter what they do. A fee BPO company that you said you survived in 2007 with BPOs. those are great to have VAs help you with, prepping the data. But just know that it's a great learning lesson, because those companies, they'll reject it. Hey, you have an error, fix it. So it's a great way to learn. So it's a much longer conversation about the VAs.
If you don't mind, if Chris can share your information, if I can like ask a question here or there, it'd be great.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger is the best to reach out to me, and that's the only one that my staff doesn't monitor, and I'll definitely answer what I can.
Thanks, Christina. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Great information.
Absolutely. Any other
Anybody
questions?
Anybody else have questions?
Some time. I don't have Gary until 30 minutes, but I know you like to end quickly. No other questions?
I have a question for you, Christina. This is more of what your thought is on where the REO and pre-foreclosure industry is going to be in the next 30, 60, 90 days. I know there's no crystal ball, right? But in an educational guess, I guess you could say, where you think the market's going to be in regards to that.
Sure. So I'd say probably the best video I've seen, if you guys know who Bubba Mills is, he has an open profile on Facebook. Look him up. He did a video. I've probably watched it 4 times for an hour, talking about the market stats and things like that. There's going to be massive, and this is different than there ever has been, commercial foreclosures. Yep. So that is, you know, I've done them here and there. I've experienced with commercial, but we are going to strategically go after that. So in the next 30, 60, 90 days, it's all going to have to do with pre-foreclosures. It's going to be the banks pushing the inventory out as hard and fast as they possibly can. I have properties that are listed, you know, that will be listed a week on first auction cycle, and they're taking $70,000, $80,000 drops. Now is the time for you to find investors, find real investors in your area, because the deals are going to push through the auction cycles or the REO. They're going to want them off their books. And then what we're going to see is there's a lot of confusion around forbearance. And what we're going to see is when the courthouses restart all the foreclosure sales. I saw this when it happened. It's like 2015, the last it was stock market. They froze everything for probably 2 months. I had probably 100 Fannie Mae listings and nothing at all. You know, it got froze. But then as soon as they restarted it, because they didn't cancel these foreclosure sales. You have 315 that have auction, and it had auction dates. They didn't cancel them, so they're going to restart them. Some of the people may qualify for forbearance, but those would be perfect people to really reach out to and help them figure out what their options are. But not everybody's Fannie and Freddie. Not every company is going to be able to put forbearance to allow them to put the mortgages at the back of their loan, because there's different people that own different pools of mortgages. So if I'm allowed to say it, I think it's going to be a complete shit show personally. And, you know, we just have to know that it's going to evolve. It's going to change. There's a lot of renters, you know, the bigger companies, and I don't know if they're in your area, Invitation Homes, American Homes for Rent, all the ones that own hundreds and hundreds of thousands of homes, they're not forgiving rent. They're saying you can have 2 weeks late to pay it, and then another 2 weeks, you know. So I'm on calls with all the, I'm part of, it's not Inman, it's called IMN. And that's where all the big players that own 5,000 plus homes are part of, and their delinquency rates are going to be so high. So we're going to have delinquency rates so high with rent, then the pre-foreclosures where they can't get ahead. So it's really going to be a rental and pre-foreclosure for the next 3 to 6 months, in my opinion. And then we're going to start seeing REO hit hard and fast in the next 6 to 8 months.
Wow, that's great information.
So would just educate yourself. Just know it's going to change. Everything can change. There may be things that they mandate. There may be, you know, things that they require mortgage servicers to do. And that's what I've been doing, is it just really making sure to educate myself. The first day of that summit that I'm going to be part of, the first day is like basically all the big dogs talking about what they expect things are going to happen, like heads of like Altisource and Aquin. And then the second day, they haven't launched the agenda. It's like agents, like myself and Bubba, and talking about how to live in it. Yeah, so it's just learn and educate yourself, because unfortunately it's heartbreaking, but this health crisis, it's going to be a very different real estate market. And if we are not scrappy and really do whatever it takes, you know, it's going to be different. But just remember, it doesn't have to be every part of your business, but it's really great to educate. And what people are going to see that's very different, and this happened in 2008, you're going to see buyers that want distressed properties because they know that the market is impacted. You're going to see people, regular homeowners and regular buyers, that are going to want to buy a foreclosure. So you need to learn how to navigate auction.com and Hubzu and follow instructions on the MLS and work and navigate for pre-foreclosures, because it's not just going to be investors that want them. It's going to be your buyers, because they're going to perceivably think that they don't want to buy a normal property because the market is bad or distressed, and they're going to want a deal. So you're going to have to learn how. In Fifth Tactic 11, you know, there is a great section in there, and we'll dive into it more on, you know, what I'm building out, but there's a great section on how to work to the two opportunities of REOs, REO buyer representation. So it dives into it in the shift on some of the basics.
It's great, Christina. I know we're a little bit over, and I know there's one more question in the chat box. Tori, you just want to ask that question real quick, and then we can let Christina go.
I
think it's
I don't see. I only see what.
Can you explain what a BPO is and how they work? Is a question.
Sure. And so a broker price opinion, and again, I just because of time, make sure to check out, so Shift, it's page 237. There's a lot of framework about BPOs. So a BPO is like an appraisal, and it even looks like an appraisal for some of them. You have 3 solds, 3 actives, and you're telling the bank or the servicer what the property's worth. So some of them may require you to do just an exterior inspection to say if somebody's living there, but a traditional form requires 3 solds, 3 actives, and then you have to put some comments in it, you know, but there are a lot of free guides, and on YouTube, a lot of free guides on, you know, BPOs, you know, I don't, hopefully that explained it. It's just a way to assess value. And
got it.
Yeah.
Well, Christina, thank you so much for some amazing information. I know I got a lot out of this call. I'm sure everyone else did too. And I look forward to staying in touch with you and seeing all the great things that you're going to be doing.
Thank you. And sorry for it's loud in the background. My family's making breakfast. So it's a madhouse. 3 kids, two dogs, sorry, 1 dog, 2 cats. And, you know, I sit at the kitchen table all day. So, but
it's all good.
Yeah, guys, this is a great time for you to just learn and master some really great skill sets that's going to prepare you for a market that you can really rise in. And this is a market you can sell hundreds of homes if you want to. So I'm happy to help. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Great advice. Thanks, Christina.
All right.
Have an awesome
Thanks,
day.
guys. All right.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.